I think what really helped Wayland, like kind of just a lot of the open source space, is people just having time to work on things during COVID. Like that's a big part of it.
Hmm.
Because I think it is fair to say back in like 2019, 2020, Wayland was very, very far from ready. Like back
Hmm.
then, you couldn't even capture the desktop with OBS.
Yep.
Now you can do that. Now all of like global hotkeys just got merged a couple of months ago. That's coming to KDE, I think in the next version. Not there for WL roots yet, and a bunch of these other little things where I've been like, I've sort of been the one person out here sort of championing these issues with Wayland because no one else is talking about it.
Yes,
And
I know. I've been watching you,
mhm.
man. I've been watching you, and I'm like, oh, dude, this is awesome. And
But
the
these
the
things are
thing
now
is,
being
my
addressed,
channel's
and it's great.
yeah, yeah, and I want to do a video on that,
Mhm.
but it's like I have to make it more readily available for
Yeah,
folks. So because I think there's a misconception that Linux people are tech savvy. I think
but yeah,
there's a good bit. I think a lot more Linux people are tech savvy than Windows and Mac
hmm.
counterpart. But I mean, on its head, you're still going to have like 60, 70% of the user base that's not really going to be
Yeah.
able to
Most people aren't
explore much
developers.
of it. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I gotta make this more cohesive and make like an install script for folks and really drill down those tools. So it's just like, here's all the tools, here's everything to convert to it, here's the window manager, here's all the setup,
Yep.
and then just go. And that's one project I'm working on pretty hard on the stream to get to a point where I'm like, okay, I know enough about all of this. Let's pick the best of everything
Hmm.
and then make a beautiful, wonderful Wayland based desktop, which I've pretty much settled. It's going to be Sway. I've
So
I've
if
I've
you're not
moved
using
from
GNOME or
Hyprland.
KDE, Sway is right now the best option by far.
Yeah, yeah, and I've been messing around with it, and I'm like, man, I love this, and it's getting close. I
Mhm.
think this week's going to be the week that I really drill down and find my final configuration for it. Hyprland has been cool. I rocked that
I
for
yeah, it's
since I made that video like a month ago.
yeah, I've been uh sort of having occasional back and forth with the Hyperland dev every so often. He was in my Discord for a while,
Hmm.
constantly shilling the project, and eventually did like a bit of coverage of it. But the only reason I would advise against Hyperland right now is it's very, very much in really active development. Like things are changing like multiple times a day.
I got a good one for you.
Mm,
Okay, to reinforce that point for
mm,
anybody watching this, Hyperland in version I think it was 21, they
yeah.
misspelled the comp file. So you go to your .config hyper, and they misspelled the comp
Yep.
file, so it was Hyperland. And it was
Yep.
like two D's on the end. And then people in chat were yelling at me like, you misspelled the comp file. I'm like, no, this version they screwed it up, and
Mm,
it's now this. And then in 22, I think they fixed it.
yep.
Now it's
Yep.
back to Hyperland. And I was like, okay. But it's definitely still really active development where I would never recommend someone that's not want to really tinker with the computer
Mm.
to ever try it.
The most annoying thing I had is there was a change that was made, but they didn't update the documentation yet. So they changed a variable name or deleted a variable or something, and there was a function that I just couldn't do. Luckily, there was people that knew a workaround. I think it was for like dragging windows with your mouse or something. They changed a
Mm-hmm.
variable, and yeah, you had to like work around it with like a click event or something. It was really dumb, but I think as much as I think Hyperland is not ready now, I think
Uh-huh.
if the developer keeps up this work, it will get to a point where Hyperland might legitimately be a really good Wayland experience that I could recommend to people.
Yeah.
As it
I
stands
think it,
now, I would say
yeah.
Sway.
Yeah. And I that's kind of what I settled on.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
said, I rocked Hyperland for a full month,
Mm,
and I loved the feel of it. I
mm,
loved it was just flashy. I'm just to be honest with you, it's just really flashy, and I
mm.
liked it, and it felt good. And then I moved to Sway, and Sway is more traditional,
Yeah.
and not nearly the effects and some of the flash. You lose a little bit of that, but it works.
Absolutely.
So I get it.
My only issue with Sway is it's i3, so it's a manual tiler, and I've got an auto tiler script that sort of deals with it and makes it, not annoy me, but I just don't like manual tilers anymore. I know they have their audience and you can make really crazy layouts, but for the average person who wants to try out a tiler, a dynamic tiler is just easier.
Yep, 100%. But I don't use too many. Usually it's just a one or two.
Yeah.
And I'm a big proponent of multiple desks. I'm on multiple workspaces, and I've been using for Sway, I've been using workspaces, I think it's called. It's a cargo install on Debian, which I moved back to Debian from Arch because Arch made me angry.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was a Wayland update, and it ended up breaking my Brave browser. And then I had to switch to Flatpak to fix it. And I was just like, oh man. Or I could revert it back to an earlier backup. And I was like, or I could just be on Debian and this would have never happened.
It's fair. Yeah.
And then I was
that's fair.
All right, I'm going to blow my system up again.
Anyway,
But,
you're going somewhere with that.
Oh, yeah. So the workspaces is a really cool. It's like cargo install workspaces, and it adds icons for all your programs. So you know how it says 1, 2, 3 up at the top of your title bar for Sway.
Yep.
It automatically detects your program, and then if it's a program you don't know, you can add like a custom icon for it, and then it just shows the little icons next to the number. So if you have three things open in Workspace 1, it'll show 3 icons like Vim, GitHub. And then, let's say Brave browser.
Does sound really cool.
Yeah, man. Check that out. And that is life-changing. And they have a couple different implementations. I haven't found the best way to do it quite yet. I was looking at my comp file, and I was like, okay, on the comp file, I tried to do it through that.
Oh, wait, do you mean work style, not workspaces?
What's that?
Do you mean work style, or is this a different one?
Yeah, work style.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, okay. I couldn't find it trying to find workspaces. Okay.
Yeah, work style. That's it. And it's a cargo install work style, and then it just puts it in there, and you can install it on any distro. So I was thinking of that, but there's 2 implementations of it. One, just auto launching it or manually launching it through your auto start, or you could do a systemd service. And I'm kind of thinking about switching from the auto start to do a systemd service because it's been a little finicky using the auto start.
Yeah. I'll have to try that out. That does. So I'm very much a proponent of workspaces as well. I have maybe 2, 3 windows on each space at most. Usually the most I ever have on something is when I'm streaming. There'll be OBS, I don't know, like a chat and maybe something else. That's as far as I'll go. But, I sometimes forget which number certain things are on, and that, yeah. So this might be super, super compelling.
It's pretty, I just discovered it today, and I've been messing around with it, and it's magical. I absolutely love it. And I'm like, hell yeah, this is going into my desktop. So I'm just working on building all that out. And then once I get that, I'm looking at my desktop right now. I'm like, oh, it's gorgeous. I just gotta fine tune it. I think it's like the inevitable Linux journey is you never get the perfect desktop, but it feels like you're so close. But in this time, I think it's different. I think I did find the perfect setup. So anyways, yeah, that's my quest to find it. And I've been streaming just a ton on Twitch, just trying to do it. So everyone's just laughing at me, blow up my system. They're like, did you format the wrong drive this time? Because I got 6 drives in there. And I'm like, no, I think I got it. I think it's okay this time. But yeah, that's been a blast.
Besides what we've mentioned, do you have any issues using Sway? Anything that still feels a bit rough around the edges?
So you're asking the wrong person, because I went from River to DWL to God, what else was there? I bounced around all that. Hyprland was actually the most polished out of all those, and I was like, oh, Hyprland's not so bad.
That's gonna annoy the River and DWO fans.
Yeah, then I was like, okay, cool. And then I just moved a Sway today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this is really good. This is
Mhm.
polished. Sway is amazing. And then, so I'm going from the other end. Like if
Right.
I was like a veteran, like KDE GNOME user, and then I come into Sway, I'd be like, this is janky. What the hell? You got to edit this file? I mean, but I'm coming from the other spectrum. So
Yeah.
to me, Sway is pretty damn good. I don't know. I mean, we'll see how I'm feeling in like a week. But so far, I've been pretty happy.
Okay. I do obviously have Sway installed, and I use Wayland every so often. I mainly am still using Awesome WM right now. I haven't made the full switch over. I should do like a full switch for like, a month or so and just see how it goes. Like I've done switches here and there, like a week at a time, but I haven't made like a full switch. I always like having that fallback there just in case something goes wrong.
So you still are rocking some awesome window management with Xorg.
Yeah, my main issue and the reason why I don't daily drive Wayland is the global hotkey issue. So you'll probably notice that if you open up OBS in Sway, if you've got hotkeys like start recording and things like that, they don't do anything.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I was about to call you out and be like, I can't believe you're using Xorg. But I control all my production with Windows and Stream Deck.
Oh,
so,
okay, that's fair.
I mean,
okay, so you would have never noticed.
That would be the pot calling the kettle black. I'd be like, well, I don't use Xorg over here. I'm Sway Wayland 100% on this machine.
Yeah.
But for most of my production, like when I have a stripped down version of Windows with all the services stripped out, with where it only has OBS. So I just boot it up. Everything auto loads. It never does updates. It never does anything. It just records my stuff. And then I that's my stable version of Windows, basically.